Hi. Well, congratulations. You have made it to day 27. So that is amazing. It's nearly a month, and you should be getting some results now. So just in the Facebook group, or you can email me back. Just mention what your biggest takeaway has been so far and what things are starting to shift. So we can focus on the things that aren't and get those moving a bit more for you. We've got a week left. So sleep. Now, yesterday I put a PDF into the group and on email. So that is an overview of today's um, um presentation. And basically, by getting better quality sleep, you are going to actually help a lot of your symptoms from not being so severe, particularly with weight loss. So I know a couple of you have mentioned that this is a sticking point for you. And so this is something that you can take moving forward as well. So this may take some time because it takes a while for that sleep pattern to readjust. It should be starting to do that now, especially because you're doing your nighttime routines. I think I've spoken to most of you and you're doing all that. So there's also a lot of links to brain fog, memory, recall, eyesight, and just your normal functioning. So better quality sleep. Plus, we touched on the other day the liver. So when the liver's out of whack, then you're waking between 1 and 3. If your hormones are in the peak of a hormonal roller coaster, then you'll be waking between 4 and 5. So that's not if you need to just get up and go to the bathroom. So that's separate. And we're going to talk about that too, times to eat and times not to eat. So how we can get quality sleep for resilience and well-being in today's environment, particularly for this year 2020, because it's been very hard. Regardless of that, and this is probably more so moving forward, is flipping back into old routines once things open up again. And just to keep in mind, this is some really big statistics here. 17 hours of wakefulness, which is actually like what we call a common day, a common work day. So you think you get up, you travel into work, you work a 9-10 hour day, and then you travel home. That's easily 17 hours of being awake. Then you've got to eat, do kid stuff or whatever you're doing, prep for the next day before you get to bed. Hopefully you're getting exercise in there too. So that's why that usually gets put to the side. But irrespective, those 17 hours of being awake means that if someone took your blood alcohol levels, you would be legally drunk. So that's kind of a scary thought. And that is why it's such a big thing on the roads. Like if you're tired, pull over. This is why it's just the same as being drunk. We can't make the right decisions. So in our workplace, if you think if this is happening to you day in, day out, it means you have that fatigue that you can't think properly, you can't make good decisions, you can't manage your team effectively, let alone yourself, and make choices that work for you as an individual as well as, for the business and whatever you're doing for work. So just know that that really impacts your not only your cognitive performance, but just your everything, resilience, plus your weight. So the other thing that came out of that was the little note at the bottom there: exercise reduced time to fall asleep. Exercise reduced time to fall asleep by 55%. So if you're having trouble falling asleep, so if that's your sticking point, then if you exercise, and not before bed, but if you're exercising in the morning particularly, then it helps you fall asleep quicker by 55%. So that's huge. So total night wakefulness, if you've been exercising, is down by 30%. Anxiety is also down by 15%, which means that your increased quality of sleep is improved by 18%. So that, again, that's a big chunk of quality brain healing time. So these are the issues that mainly is solved by getting a better quality sleep. Now, we do have devices, so whether you've got like a Garmin or a Fitbit, there's other devices that track your sleeping. So these are worthwhile. You can get the Auric Ring, I think it's called, and it particularly tracks your sleep patterns and gives you an idea of when you've got good quality sleep, and it's not giving you the average of the population. It's giving you it sort of syncs to your own body circadian rhythms. So that's actually a really good thing to look at if you are having trouble with sleep. Also, there's sleep clinics too. So if you're waking up and you think it's perhaps because you've put on too much weight and you can't get rid of it, and the weight is around this liver area, just underneath your bra, then it's good to go to a sleep clinic to make sure that you haven't got sleep apnea, which is where, when you lie back, you get too much pressure on your chest and it actually closes off your airways a little bit. And so you wake yourself up because obviously your body doesn't want to die. So you just want to check that you've got all those ticked off. The other thing is to really look at and focus on your gut health. So this is where prebiotics, so your fiber content during the day, and your probiotics come into play, because it's forming up that gut microbiome to be really balanced. And then that makes your serotonin. Now, if you remember in the beginning, we talked about the balance between serotonin and melatonin. So melatonin is what we need to make us fall asleep. And serotonin production definitely helps with that balance. So when our serotonin's low, which is produced in the gut, our melatonin will be low as well. So that will impact our sleep patterns. And that's why there is also that gut-brain barrier. So there's a lot more to it than that, but for this exercise, we just need to worry about that, getting that microbiome really healthy. So it's going to work with weight gain, sleep and gut, brain fog. So a lot of that is to do with those neurochemicals. Again, that comes down to gut health, because not only your serotonin gets produced there, but then that triggers, your dopamine, a lot of your neurotransmitters. And so then that's right at that frontal lobe. And when you're not sleeping well, you don't get a lot of that processing and cognitive, so you don't get the remembering. Basically, it doesn't get tracked into the back part of your head, where then you can bring it back for recall. So it just stays churning around and then it will disappear. So we want it to actually process, work through the cogs, and go into your long-term memory. Because of this, because you're also not getting your quality sleep, you will obviously always be tired. And then that impacts, because of the neurochemicals, low libido. And this can be really common with that hormonal roller coaster because of the effect of those changes in neurochemicals. So just be really aware of that. Try and get a little bit more sleep if that is one of your symptoms. So let's talk about sleep hygiene for a minute. So the HGH, and I've talked about this when I talked about beauty sleep in the skin module, is your repair hormone. So this means getting your 4 cycles of sleep in before 1 a.m. because that's when the human growth hormone gets stimulated. So this is your repair mechanism that you naturally have in your body that repairs everything: skin, tissues, organs, blood, everything that needs repairing and regenerating, because our body's constantly making new stuff, new bones, new blood, new tissue, new muscles, a new heart. So it's constantly repairing and renewing. So without the HGH, your human growth hormone, it slows that process down, and that's one of the big factors that makes you tired. Okay. And also it impacts your inflammatory response. So we talked about that fight or flight. When we've got too many histamines in the system, that's when it starts attacking different parts of the body, including the brain. So we need that HGH to come in and calm everything down so the histamine levels stay at a certain level, histamines and cortisol. One of the things that really helps with good quality sleep is going to bed at the same time every night, regardless of the weekend, and then also getting up at the same time. So you will find if you do this 6 days a week, say you get up at 5:30 or 6, then naturally on the 7th day you can go, okay, I'm just going to not set my alarm, and you'll find that you'll naturally wake anyway. Quite often if you say, I'm not going to get up, I'm just going to doze, then you might toss and turn for an hour in the morning, and then finally you get up, you feel worse. It's because your circadian rhythm has now adjusted, and that's your good time to get up. So it's really key to try and keep it to the same time until that's really established. It takes about 3 months, and then you'll find that you get a deeper sleep and it's quicker. Blue light. So who here, and I do this, has their phone by their bed? So I use mine as my alarm clock. The best thing to do is actually put it across the room, because there have been some, and I have seen the research studies and it scares me, where they tracked, they did an infrared camera on the radiation that was coming out of a phone. And then when it was placed beside your bed and you're sleeping there, the radiation coming through and then going out the other side pretty much. So it's pretty scary. So if you do what I do and still use it as an alarm clock, put it on flight mode, and then that takes the Wi-Fi off, and then you're not getting any radiation through the phone. So just remembering though, you've probably got Wi-Fi in your room. Hopefully it's a little bit away from your modem, so it's a little bit less damaging, and you can't really do too much about that. So focus on what you can control, but definitely the radiation makes a big difference. The actual blue light, you can get blue light glasses. So I actually have some here from Baxter Blue, is that company. There's quite a few, just Google it. These are them. So if I'm on the computer, so I just got it so that they're not very obvious, but this cuts out the blue light. So it's got a filter on them. So if I've got a big day on the laptop, then I'll wear them all day. But if regardless, in the evening after 7 p.m, I will put those on, because it's blocking any blue light. So blue light is what you take in through your retina, and it works on stimulating your serotonin and your melatonin. So it's actually dampening down your melatonin, which we actually want really high at night, because we want our body to go, right, it's nighttime, we're going to go to sleep. And we want the serotonin to be down so that our melatonin's up. So blue light will trigger it. So if you're finding that's another thing, that you are on your phone a lot, so that's going to give you a lot of blue light coming through your iris and your pupils. So just either don't go on your phone, but it does come through your TV as well, but not as much if you're on your phone or your laptop or iPad, whatever device that you've got going on. Hormone disturbances, obviously we've covered that a lot. And the black hole analogy. So I did do a little post on this, so I'm not sure how you've been finding using it. It takes practice to use, and initially you might find it doesn't work so well. You need to do it night after night after night, and it's practice. And so just imagining whatever works for you, but what works for me is a curtain coming down that's just darkness, like I'm pulling down a blackout curtain, and then I just try and go into a time warp. So I just imagine Star Wars going into a time warp of just blackness, but the blackness is a nice, comforting, cocooning type blackness, and it's just taking me to the sleep place. So whatever kind of story you want to make up in your head, it's taking you there to somewhere safe. And then what happens is your brain's trying to think of, oh, look at the stars, or look at the whatever, or I can't get to sleep. It's trying to distract you. So every time you get a little distracting voice in your head, Just keep going back, black hole, black hole, black hole, because your brain can't think of two things at once. So just focus, whether it's a mantra or the vision, or sometimes in the beginning, I think I used to say black hole, black hole, black hole, or blackness or darkness, or just come up with a word that works for you. And it works. Counting sheep, you know what, you can try that, but I find the black hole analogy for some reason works really well. Now, I know a lot of you have been finding this really successful, triggering your sleep chemicals by doing your nighttime ritual. So that's really good. So this is just a reminder, set the scene. If it's the weekend, you might want to do something different, like light some candles, or have your vaporizer going. So you're using all those senses, making sure you're showering or washing your face so that you're washing away the day, as well as washing your pollution off your skin. Moisturizing, because you're nurturing, it's still using those 5 senses. Hopefully you're using essential oils so that you're getting the smell, and it's starting to trigger those brains. It's triggering the memory side to go, oh, it's sleep time now. So it's part of our bedtime routine. And then no light, no blue lights, and do the flight mode. Practice your 3 deep breaths. So just a reminder, if you've forgotten about that, when you get into bed, do your gratitudes. I'm going to show you a success strategy for nighttime in a minute, but this is the time to do your 3 to 10 deep breaths, but minimum 3. I always try and do 10. Sometimes I'm really tired and I don't actually get to the 10. So I put my hands on my tummy, I lie on my back, and I'm counting to 10 usually. And then I'll roll over. I'm usually quite tired by then. So I'll roll over and then I'm instantly asleep. And this is what helps to trigger that human growth hormone. So here's your success planning sheet. So eat before 7, particularly if you're trying to lose weight, because it works on that slight intermittent fasting, because you may then have a 12-hour period between eating again, or perhaps it's 11 hours because you're eating at 6. So try and do that, particularly if you're struggling with losing the weight, because it makes a big difference. It's also, what it's doing is it's giving your liver, your gut, first of all, time to digest everything, and then your liver time to process. So it's not busy and it's not going to wake you up at 1. So if you are waking up between 1 and 3, really practice this, eating before 7 as much as you can. The other thing is no emails. One is because you're going to be using your phone or your tablet or whatever, but the other thing is you don't want to be starting your brain up unless you've got something unexpected or urgent that you need. If it's a daily thing, that's no. That's a no. If it's a one-off or once a month for your end of month targets or whatever, then that's fine. But normally, your normal routine should be no emails, and you can do it after 7, none after 7. You can't do much about it. We live in such an instant world. This is our responsibility to set other expectations up from work colleagues and bosses and all that jazz. Is no work after a certain amount of time, and 7 p.m. I think is fair enough. Using your skincare, this is just a reminder. Gratitudes, goals, and intentions. So there's been studies done with a lot of top CEOs. It was done by Forbes magazine, actually. And what were the things that they did in common? And pretty much all of them ticked the box with doing a gratitude diary, or some use their phone or some kind of app. Then they reviewed their goals and intentions for the next day, and just then use that time to quieten their mind, do their breathing in whatever form they had. A lot of them do meditation. So just so you know, that's a lot of CEOs and top executives, Fortune 500s, are doing this: gratitudes, goals, intentions, and then meditation, just to allow it to kind of process and to get that nervous system down. Actually, there's a really great book called The Happiness Factor, if you haven't read it, by Sean Anker, I think, just popped into my head. So, and he goes through a lot of these studies that there is a big link between brain, sleep, and stress levels, with gratitudes, goals, and intentions in the evenings, particularly, and then achieving those goals and intentions in a very productive, not stressful way. So, that is key. Just as a reminder, we did cover this off in the Be Do Have one, is the success planning in the morning. So starting with you first. So you're getting up in the morning, you are just doing you. You're not looking at emails. You're not trying to check on what's happening at work. You're not going on Facebook. You're not even doing anything to do with anyone else apart from you, because unless you fill your own tank first, you have got nothing else for anyone. And wouldn't you rather, what they say, create before you consume? So we need to get into our creative selves and take charge of our day before things come up and want our attention or want our time or consume us, or we are needing to consume other things. So do you first. Then hydrate, move your body, green smoothies and vitamins, use your activators. Then practice at least 5 minutes of the gratitude meditation and breathing in the morning, because it's going to center you and keep you in a calm, grounded space to make decisions moving forward. Whatever happens during the day, if you start your day like that, it's like you've started on a clean sheet of paper, a plateau from which you can start going up. The stress levels start ramping up during the day. If you're already starting up here, stress happens anyway, and it's going to be bouncing off the wall, and that's when overwhelm starts to happen, the brain fog, that you can't think clearly, you're not making good decisions, you're not showing up as your best self. So this really comes down to having that flat place to start, putting your oxygen mask on first. So yes, limiting your phone until 8 a.m. So at least, what I do is actually turn mine on silent. You can actually still leave it on flight mode if you know that you're really bad. So just know, what are your triggers? If you see something popping up, are you going to just jump in, kind of thing, because you've got that attachment to it. So it's just slowly breaking the attachment to your phone or your emails or whatever. Some key things here for gut health. The first one is to breathe. So remembering that helps to aid our digestion, and then it's setting the scene for reducing fight or flight. When that happens, we're taken out of storing fat, and it creates a lot of bloating and indigestion, and it means we can digest our food, consume and absorb the nutrients, and then we have energy for the day. So you can wake up your stomach acid before you eat with lemon juice and water, or you can use apple cider vinegar. Either or is fine. Just be aware that lemon juice and water does eat away at the enamel on your teeth. So I do use the lemon juice and water. I find it a nice way to wake up, kind of thing. So I will swish around with some warm water afterwards, kind of thing. And this is where eating in a calm state really helps as well. So think of the old days. We used to have to sit there and say grace and then look at our food, and that would start everything, moving. We'd start our digestive juices, our salivary glands would work, and then we would eat. Quite often we were eating fast because there's lots in the family. If we eat slowly and calmly and chew our food, it actually aids our gut health. And there's more and more research now doing towards the production of the serotonin and boosting your immune system from eating in that calmer state. So staying out of the red zone. Support your digestion with whole foods, basically, your probiotics and your prebiotics, which is your fiber. And remember that your healthy gut means you have healthy serotonin, which is your sleep. So here's a list, you might want to screenshot this, for foods particularly that support your brain health and brain health with sleep. Okay, so those ones are you're going to see repeats of these foods coming through all the time. Obviously, that's only the A to L list, but take a screenshot, and that's a really handy one to keep on your phone. Some simple sleep hacks is to, obviously, if you are struggling to get to sleep, if you get outside in the morning, you have a better chance. And I touched on that research study in the beginning. Protein before bed, because it actually works on some of your hormones that make you tired and make you so they work on your leptin, I think it is. So it actually starts that, oh, I'm tired. So if you think about when you have a big meal, you quite often feel tired afterwards. Part of that's digestion, but part of that's the protein. It's releasing different enzymes. So protein before bed. If you need to, and if you're really hungry, you may be better to have like a protein shake, that type of thing, and just have half. So make it up, have half just before bed, and then you can save the rest for the morning. You don't need a whole lot, just enough to take the edge off, but the protein is really good. The other thing that you can do, which I haven't got in there, is magnesium. So either a magnesium spray if you've got tired muscles, or having a shower actually helps. Or you can take magnesium at night just before bed is a really good time because it's a muscle relaxant. Breathing, I've said, your self-care rituals. And then also have if you wake in the middle of the night and you've got an overactive brain, keep a notepad or whatever list, not your phone at that time of the night, a physical list, because even if you can't read it in the morning, you'll remember what it is. And if you can't remember it, you weren't meant to remember it in the first place. It was just an outlet. So just let it go, just stay with it, and get it out when you are thinking about it. So that's it. Enjoy those and let me know how your sleeping is going and what times at all that you're struggling. If it's getting to sleep, you're waking at a certain time, and then we can just hone in on that a little bit more individually. Have a great day.